Hello, how are you? Today is another day still, and I hope you have been okay. I want to discuss the issue of wealth. I want us to start to look at how does wealth propagate? How do people become wealthy? Is it good to invest as an individual, or can we do wealth as a family? Which one is better? So my topic is wealth individual or family? And we also will try to compare on how different countries people invest. Then from there we can be able to draw pros and cons. So let me begin with a bit of comparison. I have some experience of how wealth is generated in Africa, and I've been able to read about how other countries, maybe people generate wealth, America, Europe, Asia, like in India, China, or even Canada. There is something which I've been able to learn. First of all, is that for us Africans, uh, we have our own concept of how we pursue wealth. Uh, Most of the time, we do not think like being in a group of wealth is good for us. And at some time, you will always see like when people become wealthy, they are on the path of building money, ventures. Uh, Most of us, we usually get, we start separating with our families or with the people who are closer to us, and maybe we end up investing individually, or maybe we end up having partners who are not necessarily our relatives. But there is a question which I've been asking myself: why is it that we have not been able to create many ventures which you can say that there is a generation wealth? Because how I understand wealth, or maybe even based on how many people understand wealth, is that as the first person to be a billionaire or millionaire in that category, if that wealth is not propagated down to other generations, fourth, third generation, if in any event that that wealth disappears, maybe after you are dead or maybe after your retirement, that wealth was not worthy seeking for it. The reason why we seek for wealth or why we want to be wealthy is so that we can be able to propagate that wealth down the line. Our children, children can be able to meet a footprint which they can be able to follow, and they even grow that wealth more. And we have examples of people who have been able to do very well in terms of wealth, and we can see it, especially maybe even there are some families in Africa which have gotten that concept, and they are doing well. That is why, like for example, in Kenya, you always hear of Moi family. You will hear of the streams of businesses which they have and how they are helping each other. Kenyatta family, Ndegwa family, so a Wari family. So family wealth to some extent works. And for me, I think the best concept of how people can be able to grow wealth is being in a concept whereby you can be able to partner with your brothers and sisters to even make that venture better. And I think that is a system which we need to follow as Africans, because it is so sad that we have been having so many companies which crashed immediately when their designers or the people who created that business died. I remember, like in Kenya, there was a time, and I know even in some many African countries there could be that. I think even in some European countries, I think there are some ventures which might have collapsed along the way. I asked myself, why did the Tuskys collapse? Why did the Nakumat collapse? And some other ventures. Uh, what was the problem? Okay, maybe first of all, let's ask ourselves, can families be rich? That's a question we need to ask ourselves. Uh, I saw like in the US, for example, uh, there are families actually which were able actually to create that, to create the modern lifestyle which is in the US. Uh, and the most famous families which and they have they have been able to see to propagate well. Uh, we have the Vanderbilt family and the Rockefeller family. Those two families have been able to propagate well. We also have families which actually they have seen their generations inheriting wealth, and we have seen those companies moving from one point to the other one and continuing to see incremental growth all through the time when they have existed. For example, Walmart, that's a group of chain stores, supermarket stores in America. Walmart, which is owned by Walton family, uh, I think they are in their fourth generation now. It's a company which was founded in 1930s. So, and the company is keeping on growing, and the wealth has been able to circulate within the family, and the family has been able to ring fence that wealth. So there are a number of families which we can say like they have been seem to be successful in America. There is the Mars family, there is the Koch family, there is the Cargill, there is the Johnson family, there is the Pizza family, there is the Caddy family, Duncan family, and all of them you can actually be able to attach to what they do as as part of living. So even when you go beyond that, beyond America, if you go even in places like India, where generational wealth is attached to families, you can see companies which, or you can see ventures which are doing a lot of good work. Like, for example, in India, we have Ambani family, who actually is listed as one of the richest men on earth. So, this issue of growing wealth from the family setup, to me, it looks like it works. And to some extent, even some of the families in Africa which have been able to understand this concept, actually, this concept has been able to work to them. Like, for example, we are always told, like, the Aliko Dangote family, even its forefathers were richer, like in the 30s and 40s. And they have been able to propagate that wealth to the extent whereby, like, Aliko Dangote himself, he has been able to grow that wealth to extraordinary numbers. There is like the Motsepe family in South Africa. I think their sister, one of their sister, is married to the current president of South Africa. Again, there is a family line there where you can see them growing well, including some white families in South Africa where they are growing well, and some other families in Egypt where you can see them growing well. So, and so many other families we have seen. Trump family, the former US president, like in America, is a family thing. So, there is a question which I was asking myself. Why is it that for us in Africa, when we start getting rich, or when our issues start, we start having good life, we start separating ourselves from the family? I think there is a weapon there. I don't know if there is somebody who told us, or it is something which circulates within us as Africans, whereby we think that when we are very rich or when we are very successful, our family members could actually be looking for us so that they can destroy us. And we actually happen to separate with our family members. And as we are separating with our family members, we reach a level whereby we are not ring fenced. We do not teach anyone on about how to invest. We are already investing alone, and we do not have people who have interest at heart who can be able to propagate that wealth for you after you age or in case you die. And to some extent, some of us, our children do not get that acumen that they want to become business people. Though we could have some family members, if we are able to teach them and train them, or maybe show them the way and teach them the values of how money is propagated, these people could actually become useful to our people. I think we need to start exploring this issue of creating family wealth. I think, to me, I think if in Africa we can be able to explore and propagate this idea of creating family wealth, there is actually a possibility of building more wealth, and we become even more competitive. We even be able to raise families which can actually be able to loan the government money. That is what happened, like in some in some countries whereby people have been able to grow wealth extremely. Remember, two is better than one. If you are investing alone, you have limitations. But if you can be able to invest as a family, as a group within your family, people who are ready to sacrifice and protect each other for the propagation of wealth, there is a tendency of growing more wealth within that family line or within that family ring. So my encouragement would be when we start to grow, when God starts to see us through economically, when we start having ventures, we start climbing with our families, both nuclear and extended, it doesn't matter. But we need a connection because there is no way in which we are only having one rich person who is not able to connect or to relate with the other people. It is something we need to look at it critically as Africans. I don't know why, to some extent, we think when we become rich, Wagangu wanatutafuta, Warogo wanatutafuta. I don't know why, to some extent, that one has also been propagated. To the extent it has also even gone into the spiritual realm, whereby we pre-think, or maybe people even tell us that watu wanakuonea kijicho. I know we have those people who might not be feeling good about us. But why is it that when you have started to succeed, those messages of kuna watu wanakutafuta wakumalize, they start getting amplified to us from all circles? I think it's a weapon from the enemy, so that we get disconnected from each other, so that we can go alone and we are unable to go far. I think we need to explore, and even some of the people, like our spiritual fathers, our pastors, our bishops, they need to start now giving people hope and showing people that our families are still good. Our families are not the source of our desperation, and our families are not the source of our problems. We can be able to coexist with our families, both nuclear and extended, to the process of growing wealth. And through that, we will be able to create more millionaires and more billionaires. And we will be able to change Africa and our countries incrementally and in a better way. So maybe we need to explore that. There is a way in which we need to look at wealth, because I have been looking at many people who have created wealth. I've read about people, but it doesn't sound right. When all these people die, we are having very bad lawsuits. so many things disappear because you died and the thing and nothing was known where it is. There is a problem, and we have to think about this. We toil hard. We don't even get time with our people to look for all these things, only for these things not to get a forward step from our next generation. We have to start preparing our children, the people who are close to us, on how to become transformative people for the next generation. Thank you. And maybe if you have a comment about that, you can let me know. But I think our discussion was good. Thank you. And let's meet in the next video, which I will be discussing about Senegal. Thank you.